Hello and welcome back to this episode on International Women's Day here at DCD. My name is Tam Pledger. I am a digital portfolio manager here, and this episode we will be talking on insights and experience from the field. As we all know, the data center industry is currently experiencing growth like never before. This has translated into a demand for individuals to build, design, and operate these data centers, where the sector is currently experiencing a lack of people to fill these roles. With the projected growth in key markets like India, maintaining a diverse pipeline of talent ready to support the next generation is fundamental to ensuring that the digital build-out continues. That's why this episode will explore stories of leadership and change from the individuals building out the world's digital infrastructure today. Joining me to discuss this episode, I'm really excited to introduce this panel for International Women's Day. I have joining me Ruchika Sharma, Vice President of Business Developments at CtrlS. I have Lalitha Rajendran, Senior Operations Manager at AWS. And I have Priyanka Nagpal, Director of Data Center Capital Markets at JLL. And Dachyani Duravan, Data Center Operations Manager at Microsoft. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I think for the sake of our audience, let's just go around and give a very quick introduction. This episode being experience in the field, it'd be very interesting just to get a better understanding of your own personal journeys and what's led you to where you are in the data center industry. I'm going to go around. Ruchika, let's start with you. Could you give just a very quick introduction to yourself?
Hi, I'm Ruchika Sharma. I have spent over 18 years leading large-scale data centers, infrastructure projects. Other than this, I have experienced almost high voltage power infrastructure projects delivery. My expertise spans, I will say, the hyperscale data center construction, EPC project delivery, and overall as a client management. At presently, I am serving as a Vice President of Business Development at CtrlS Datacenter, where I work closely with global hyperscalers clients to deliver scalable, AI-ready infrastructures that drives real business impact.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ruchika. And Lalitha?
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. Really excited. I'm one of the senior operations managers here in India in AWS support engineering teams. I have had a mix of a lot of experience in my career. Some of them to mention is I had started out as a graphic designer and got a little bit into designing and teaching, and then I got into developing. I was an application developer for a long time, and then I transitioned into leadership roles. I've been in the spectrum of storage, where I worked with the HP. I worked with the data delivery. I worked on the CDN technologies earlier with Akamai, and now I'm in the cloud infrastructure and AWS. So I have been exposed to data center in various roles at various junctions, and I'm happy to be here to talk about what is my perspective on that. And I directly work with a lot of enterprise customers. My team, which is directly responsible for networking, security, and storage services in cloud, we work with thousands of workloads on cloud, depending on the data center's availability. So excited. Thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you. And Priyanka?
Tam, I think first of all, thank you very much for having me here for this Women's Day panel. I think I'm really excited and looking forward to this conversation and sharing some insights on my journey in building a data center practice across different countries and geographies. I think as a director of data center capital markets at JLL, I provide strategic advisory services to a diverse clientele. This includes your hyperscalers, operators, and investors. So my responsibilities encompass more on guiding the clients through the market entry strategies, developing go-to-market entry strategies for them, and offering a specialized services such as powered land advisory, debt equity, and M&A advisory, as well as portfolio divestment strategies. That's more on the investment side and the capital market side of data centers, and I'm happy to take this conversation forward with all of you.
Thank you, Priyanka. And finally, Tachani.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon to each and every one of you. I'm Darshani Durvan, a data center operations manager at Microsoft. I have a total experience of 20 years in the IT industry. So I started my career with HP as a contractor and then moved to IBM and then Computer Sciences Corporation. And I joined Microsoft last 2014. So I have nearly 11 years of experience in the data center industry. So I have grown through many roles within Microsoft, like started with data center project manager, then moved as a site operation manager, and currently I'm a data center operations manager. So as a data center operations manager with over a decade of experience across data center project management and operations, I currently lead large scale mission critical data center environments with end to end accountability for safety, uptime, compliance, capacity delivery, and operational resilience. My work focuses on driving operational excellence through strong governance, continuous improvement, and risk based decision making. So, while navigating complex stakeholder and vendor ecosystems, I'm also passionate about building high performance teams, developing future talents, and creating inclusive pathways for women in this data center industry. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all. I mean, first of all, what a wealth of experience we've got on the panel here. So many years collectively within data centers. And I think it's very interesting that you all have incredibly diverse backgrounds as well that have allowed you to evolve in the roles where you are. Let's start off the conversation just talking on your own personal journeys and how that's taken you to where you are. Tatiani, I'm going to draw on you for this first question. I mean, you've grown from project manager to data center operations manager over more than a decade at Microsoft. Can you talk us through what you found the biggest leadership shift you had to make along the way was and how that looks for you in your journey?
So I would say the biggest shift was moving from personally delivering delivery to building teams that can deliver under pressure without me, right? So as a data center project manager, success was about controlling scope, timelines, execution. That worked well in a project delivery in a mission critical environment. But when I moved into operations, especially in the mission critical environment, that approach will not work. So I had to shift from how do I fix this to how do I create people, processes, judgment, collective decision making, right? So it is about like I have to learn more about trust, resilience, and decision making through others. So it is about both mix of people management and technical management. That is
Mm.
the kind of shift I have seen.
Yeah, lots of shifts across the industry. I know this is probably something that's shared across the panel and indeed to the audience watching. But there's no shortage of potentially being the only woman on a team or the only woman working in a department for data centers. How do you feel that that's shifted? Is there being a change across the industry? Are we seeing more women come in now?
Of course. So I can say what has changed is visibility and voice. Today, I can see more women working in projects, data center projects, operations and engineering, and they were also being heard. It's not just being included. There is a considerable inclusion efforts and leadership support in this way. But I can also say what hasn't fully changed is the perception. In mission critical environment, there is a general lack of interest and not enough clarity about the job roles in the data center environment. So you can say, I can see progress is there and it is real, but still we are not at there, like the position we want to achieve, right? And this needs considerable efforts for improving further.
Yeah, I really like what you've just said, where there isn't enough clarity on job roles at all. And I think that's a huge barrier for women getting into the industry. I hope that through this episode, we'll showcase that there is opportunities, there are diverse jobs. Priyanka, yourself, you transitioned from Mumbai to a new region in the Middle East. You're now working with JLL to build out data centers in that emerging region. What did that shift teach you about adaptability and how the conversation has changed across the industry from smaller to megawatts and potentially gigawatts and even more? How's that shift been for you?
So I think, Tam, my journey in data center capital markets began in Mumbai, like you said, back in 2019. And that is when I realized that traditional real estate advisory wasn't addressing the unique complexities that a digital infrastructure or data centers bring to the table when you're deal making. I think I started by specializing in powered land, helping hyperscalers, investors, operators to navigate the technical and commercial challenges in site selection and acquisition. So that's where it all started. And then my transition from Mumbai to Middle East to build a data center practice for the region was transformative, actually, in many ways that I hadn't anticipated. So I think moving to an emerging region meant starting from ground up. So it was not just building relationships, but this was fundamentally educating the market about what data center represents. So I think what stuck me the most was how the shift demanded a complete evolution in how we communicate language. So, for from a traditional real estate where we talk in square footage to location premiums to occupancy rates, I think data centers a different language altogether. We talk about so we talk about power densities, we talk about cooling efficiencies, we talk about latency requirements. So this conversational shift of how much space to I think how much power can the space handle reliably, this taught me adaptability. So it's not just about adjusting to new environments, it's also about learning to translate these complex technical concepts in a way where it becomes invaluable because you're forced to master in the fundamentals while developing the communication skills. So today we talk about gigawatts, today we are talking about large scale campuses, but somewhere we started with mobile switching centers, with edge facilities, with different technologies of cloud and DC. And suddenly we're talking about AI training, AI inferencing. So I think this whole journey truly helped me master in my fundamentals, and it also helped me develop these communication skills of how to make this accessible even in layman's term to investors which come from different backgrounds. It won't be just a technical background. You would have developers, you would have other aspects of looking into digital infrastructure. So yeah.
Yeah, something I definitely relate to. I had to learn all of this lingo when I started in the data center industry, and especially when I interview people, there's so much new to learn. And of course, the pace of scale and the change that we're seeing, it means that adaptability doesn't leave. Spoiler alert, you'll have to relearn everything again in a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's nonstop.
True.
um,
True.
so Ruchika, from your perspective here, again, different backgrounds. You're coming from that execution background. You're now working very closely with hyperscalers. How has the shift impacted you, and how are you seeing demand accelerate across India and additional regions as well?
If I will say that when I started my career also in early stage, my complete focus was that I need to deliver this project, whatever it is given within a time, within a budget, and definitely safety will be the paramount. But after delivering one of the data center power infrastructure projects, I realized that why is power is needed, how it's important for the data center perspective. And after delivering one of the data center execution complete infrastructure projects, I realized that now this data center market is completely booming. And it's about thinking bigger, how we can build a data center and how we can solve the customer problem in such a way that their end customer will be satisfied. How we can align the customer long term growth plans so that along with the customer, we can also grow. So, in simple terms, if I will say that my focus is completely moved only from the project delivery to enable business growth by truly understanding customer requirement and identify how we can support their evolving business needs through the right infrastructure with quality and safety. If I will say ultimately it's about turning execution into impact, delivering solutions that drive the business real values.
Lots of core
So that is
skills
my
there.
shift.
And of course, you're in a booming market. What opportunities are you seeing in the Indian sector for data center growth?
Sorry, I missed your question.
So, in India, particularly, what opportunities are you seeing in the sector for data center growth?
All the opportunities are there, if you, I will say, because we have a lot of power. It's nowadays the power, if you not, I will not say the complete as a epic reason. Recently AI summit was there, and all these hyperscales clients, all the global giants along with the power industry and our governments also have seen the lot of they have announced in a bigger way in $1 million investments they have done. So, in each and every perspective, we have seen is a global impact, and India will be number one.
You're going to be very busy, I think, in the next few years. And finally, Lisa, thank you for being so patient. But from your personal journey, again, very different. Your role bridges that cloud architecture and the physical infrastructure behind it for data centers. When you supported major region launches, what did that teach you about critical data centers, and about how critical the data center layer is?
Sure, Tam. I would just want to acknowledge that I was super thrilled hearing each of their experience in data center. I want to acknowledge that it's amazing because I have seen data center with the screen on, right? Because cloud is that magic word. That's where we are sitting. But cloud is nothing but backed with the superpower of data centers. So it was really awesome to hear the different experience of all these amazing women here on this panel. To start with, what I have learned in my experience on the data center launches or working on several mission critical engagements from the cloud perspective is that data center is the backbone. I have visited data centers and I know it's thousands of servers in rows, and then there is always a 24 bar 7 of maintenance of temperature, humidity. They are running power, there is a cooling agent, and now we are talking about AI, which is consuming a lot more than what was expected. In my experience, we have also engaged, my teams have engaged in live migration where the workloads move between different servers without downtime, right? And the capacity planning is usually done way ahead, considering the powers, the servers, the cooling, the bandwidth, the hardware, and lot of other features. What was very very critical and learning for us was when we are testing these cloud services where there is a launch, it's just a single issue that can occur at a data center can affect thousands of our customers and billions of dollars in business operations, right? And we all have the promise of 99.99 percentage uptime because our data center teams are the backbone of cloud computing. I generally look at it as a way that whenever there is as simple as an API call that we make, right? And how does that transcend through the world of data center and within some micro millisecond, it reaches back jumping through several transactions within the data center and comes back. So that is a big learning for me whenever we have engaged in either the mission critical operations or engagements or migrations of workloads, as well as some of the region launches.
Thank you. And I think that really emphasizes what we're talking about here is the future of the people building infrastructure. These are mission critical, these are vital for the globe and going forwards. I want to dig into that. Ruchika, you spoke there about safety and uptime being those non negotiables for data centers. When we talk about data center leadership and being in a leadership role, how do we ensure that these fundamentals don't get compromised? And how are you really ingraining that within leadership?
Yes, you are right. To ensure safety and uptime are not compromised in the race towards AI scale. And now we are talking about the gigawatt campuses. We have to lead differently, specifically in mission critical environments. If I will say that design for the resilience from the day one itself, we need to plan redundancy, fault tolerance, compartmentations. Are we need to adhere it during the architect or as a design phase itself, not added as an additional layer during operation phase. The second, I think what we can do is standardization and repeat what works. Is like a proven design, modular builds we can do. In that way, we can minimize and reduce the risk, what we are scaling. The third part, I think we can say the operational disciplines, because once the projects are completed, handed over to the operations team, for the uptime perspective, we have to be clear SOPs, MOPs, trained teams, at the culture that every change is a clear cut SOPs and MOPs are should be in the place. On top of that, safety, if any kind of changes is there, if anyone see that this is unsafe, either is a it's a trainer or as a leadership employee, they have a complete right to stop the unsafe work at any point of time. Other than this, what we can do as a commissioning phase, we can test in a worst case scenarios. At the planning stage, we can consider it during our design phase. Continuous stress testing, we can ensure that whatever we are handing over to our operations team are completely sustainable. And the last, the leadership matrix. It's I will consider as a topmost, making sure that as we scale, nothing breaks and our customer never experience downtime.
I mean, Ruchika, what you've just laid out there, I think, speaks very clearly that we are talking about data centers, we are talking about buildings and architectures and rooms of servers, but at the end of the day, it's the people that are the important part of this that are ensuring that growth.
Yes.
Um,
And on top of that, one more point I want to add, as this forum is for the related to the women. My perspective is the mission critical projects at a leadership level. I will not say who is the loudest voice in the room. It's about who is most accountable, who is most experienced. That should be the considerable point at a leadership level.
So ensuring that you don't get drowned out, that it is the experience, it's the accountability that make a leadership
Yes.
within data centers. Priyanka, building on what Ruchika has just said there, what are some of the interpersonal or negotiation skills that have been most critical for your career in JLL?
So, for me, negotiation, site acquisitions perspective, I think it's a day in, day out of my job. So, what I learned that technical knowledge is just table stakes. I think what distinguishes you effectively, or what distinguishes the effectiveness of leadership is the ability to build trust quickly. and to navigate complex negotiations with multiple stakeholders that would have competing interests as well. So I think the most critical skill I have developed is active listening, and this has to be combined with a strategic questioning. So in negotiations, especially in infrastructure deals which involve significant capital, stakeholders often have un basically unstated concerns or priorities. So, learning to uncover these through thoughtful questions and then demonstrating that you have heard what matters the most to them, this creates the foundation of a successful outcome in future. So, I think these two aspects of active listening, knowing what matters the most, will drive your outcome towards a successful transaction. And this needs to be combined with strategic questioning.
But just to comment on that, if you're an active listener, how do you then get your ideas across? How do you make sure that you have the authority in the room, which might be quite hard if you are a minority within data centers?
Sure. I think regarding building authority, as often one of the few women in the deal, what I have found what works for me the best is preparation. And I think data are your greatest allies. So when I walk into the room, I ensure that I know the numbers better than anyone else present. Apart from that, I understand not just our position, but the constraints and motivation of other parties. So each party would have their own motivation that has driven them to the deal making or to the table. I think the preparation allows me to contribute meaningfully from the first moment onwards, so which establishes credibility immediately. I also learned that to be direct about my role or to be direct about my decision making, the authority up front, this is also something that. That is something you need to incorporate rather than letting others assume or guess. It's better to clearly communicate what your responsibilities are and what the scope of your particular mandate is. So this prevents the common dynamic where people just look past you to find who the real decision making is or the who the real decision maker is. So I think that is very important.
Yeah, I know that's quite a common experience, I feel. That's very interesting, though. I agree. I think being the best in the room, being the most prepared, having the numbers, all of these common and very useful goals. On the flip side, Lalitha, of course, it's not just being a leader, it's also leading others and being a manager to others. Can you talk us through what leadership habit has been the biggest difference for you in these environments and how you've led cross-functional teams and launched
Sure.
high pressure launches? How does that work for you and what have you learned from that?
Sure. Thank you, Tam. I think fundamental is important no matter what. Fundamental is leading through clarity for me, empowering our teams through clarity. So I have a team with builders of over 100 and some senior managers. So the first thing that I think that's important is leading with empathy. And one of the perspective of having an empathetic leadership is communicating the why, helping them understand how they are contributing to the bigger mission. In several mission critical environments or several mission critical initiatives, what builds capacity and confidence is when we as a leader are we able to be along with them and help them understand the mission's context. Say for example, if we are running a particular monitoring for a large customer, right, and it's an event or it's an important migration for a customer, the best thing to do is to help them understand what the customer is at stake if we are not paying attention or if we are not doing what is required to be done, and helping them understand that bit definitely brings them as a part of the as a part of the stakeholder who has an equal rights there, right? The other thing is the what, clear success metrics. There could be 100 metrics that is defined, but what really is the outcome and what drives the metric, that needs to be clear. So the team which is working along with you on this, they need to be aware of the SLA targets, they need to be aware of the incident response times, the quality benchmarks. This will really enable them to go ahead and contribute to the real outcome. Finally, definitely not the least, but the most important is trusting and empowering the team. The best thing to do is to trust in the best approach that they have. Once the why is clear and also what needs to be achieved, the how can usually and should come from people who are going ahead and executing it. And that way you will have creative solutions, you will have individual contributors who comes up with great invent and simplify opportunities, and they will definitely take ownership. So the trust and empowerment piece is super critical here. So these are some of the simple but powerful frameworks that has helped me to put in practice.
Mm. And building on that, how are you ensuring that they're empowered? How are you ensuring that your teams feel confident, especially when they are under such pace and the industry is scaling so rapidly?
Yes, I think there are some bets that you can take. There are some bets where you can allow your people to fail and quickly recover. When you do that, you definitely build trust with your team, and they're able to see how important the task is and come back to contribute to that. And that doesn't take as a single approach, it builds over a period of time. So that's an important approach. The second thing is clarity. Make sure that you're very connected with your team. Make sure that you know the ground realities of what are the blockers, where do they lack motivation, what motivates them. So if we are making sure that we are able to attend to that and be a part of that journey, we definitely would establish that. More than ever, I think empathy is important. If we are able to understand what brings them to work every day and how we keep them motivated, I think that habit definitely transforms.
Mm. There's a lot of work there. I think just looking at time, I really want to move us on to talk about removing some of these barriers, especially when we're talking about teams. It's important that we build out diverse teams. Dachani, from your perspective, how important is it to rethink how roles are positioned and what practical changes make a difference? It's something that you mentioned earlier. I'd really like you to just expand on that.
Yeah, certainly. So I think it is critical actually. So if you see many data center roles, especially the project and the operation roles, are still positioned as physically demanding, right? It is a physical work rather than a technically complex or strategically critical. So this actually makes people hesitate to think about a career in the data center. I feel like framing limits who even consider applying this for this particular job. So what we can do, a difference is the practical change, redesigning role description. So when you do redesigning the role description to highlight particularly the decision making and the complex nature of the data center, the new technology which comes into the data center, and clear progression in the data center, the promotions you get in working in the data center. So all these things I do think make a great change. So I just think just the exposure more on this data center and on the leadership roles and the rotations, whichever is available in the data center, need to be advertised more.
Mm-hmm. So,
So this is addressed.
so that's one step that organizations can make, really advertise their roles more. And I know that something we talked about earlier was that women often want to fulfill all the criteria within a job description.
Right.
Um, more so potentially than their male counterparts. Lalitha, from your perspective, could you fill me in? Why is this? Why do we think that women are expecting to be more qualified than perhaps they need to be for some of these jobs? And what can organizations do to change that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly true. But I think it comes with a lot of social conditioning. It comes with a lot of expectation that is, entrusted on them, that they have to go ahead and achieve a certain standard. And they carry it for a long time. So I think that could be one of the reasons. And that has worked even, I mean, I think that was there in me for a long, long time until I realized it. And I'm sure many of my female colleagues also do realize that. And I want to write upon what Daksayani just mentioned, right? The job description definitely, as small as it might sound, definitely plays a very big impact. And what can organizations do is definitely see whether they can rewrite the job description with inclusive language. Very simple example is look at your required and look at the preferred qualification explicitly. See if you are able to say that 10 years plus required, see if that is truly required, or if you could use 5 years plus required and 10 years as preferred. It's a very small example. Within organization, we can implement some structured sponsorship programs and celebrate for women from different background who have gone ahead and achieved it, right? This clearly creates a vision for folks who wants to go ahead and apply and succeed in that. uh, Create transparent career progression frameworks. It's always advisable that when we are looking at potential based on the credibility, the competence, and the ability to go ahead and perform, keeping all of that intact, create a career progression frameworks which is transparent. Help your employees understand that, and this definitely brings equity. The other important field is to look at the male allyship and conscious leadership. Sometimes don't make your diversity champion for your diversity, right? Like build an allyship where everybody is a part of this. So conscious leadership decisions are definitely very, very important for organization to look at. And like how you mentioned, mentorship is important. One thing that I would like to call out is there are a lot of systemic barriers. There are a lot of systemic barriers that exist till date. How can organization go ahead and address those barriers through policies, like removing unconscious bias from hiring process? That's a very important one because there is an unconscious bias for all of us. That's the way we are coded, right? Implement flexible workplace policies so that there is a gender equity there as well. Create psychological safe place where the culture promotes diversity. Most of the women aspire to the leadership roles, but only a few hold it, right? Like 78 to 80 percentage of women, they would like to have a leadership role, but only one or two women hold a board position. Now, this will help if we are having a systemic barrier to be broken down through policies. So, definitely, last but not the least, all of us should invest and focus on skill development. That is very, very important. Competence is in no way compromisable. So, if we are investing in regrowing or bringing back and reskilling women in our communities and helping them to achieve back on what they have lost, I think that's a very big contributions that can break this barrier.
Loads and loads of practical steps there. If you're a company watching this, please do implement those steps, that transparency, mentorship, sponsorship, and that leadership approach. It comes from the top down.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, so many great insights there. Priyanka, from your side, slightly different perspective, but if we want more women within senior investment and infrastructure roles, what needs to change first? Is there something that we should be removing barrier-wise?
I think for women to reach senior investment in infrastructure roles, we need to address the pipeline problem at multiple levels, which we are all reiterating. I think first we need better visibility of career paths in infrastructure. So many talented women don't know these opportunities exist. and how do they access them. So it starts at that level itself. I think second, what we need is to normalize flexibility in how we define career progression. So infrastructure and investment roles have traditionally required extensive travel and client entertainment. So that assumes a very specific life structure or a lifestyle. I think creating pathways that acknowledge the different approaches to relationship building and client services and how they differ from person to person opens opportunities for more diverse leadership. So I think that is the second critical point that you could look at from point of view of how I look at my career growth in capital markets. I think most importantly, we need senior leaders, both men and women, to actively sponsor high potential women and not just mentor them. So, sponsorship means advocating for someone when they are not in the room. So you're ensuring that they get access to challenging assignments and helping them navigate these unwritten rules about advancement. So I think that is also very critical. How you are advocating someone's growth when that person is not present in the room. I think these few unsaid parameters are something that are very, very important when you're looking at senior investment roles for women.
Yeah, sponsorship coming up again there. Clearly very important. And I like how you phrased it as access. We've had transparency, we've had access. Both of these mentioned multiple times. Ruchika, from your own experience, what practical steps have you seen organizations implement, especially when you're trying to develop and retain female talent in very technical environments?
From my experience, retaining women in technical roles does not happen by accidents. First of all, it have to be happen by design itself. If organizations are serious and they want to retain, the my recommendation will be, as we have discussed a lot in the mentorship, but I will say rather as a mentorship, now we have to shift mentorship to a sponsorship. Advice is always a useful, but advocacy changes their careers because women needs leader who will speak from their room when women are not in the room and put forward in a critical roles. This will my first advice. The second, it will be give women as a big opportunities. The complete mindset is that is a woman let complete it in a design phase only. They will not able to go to the site. Trust them with the and give the real responsibilities to the women employees as well. And third, it will be make leaders accountable. Diversity can't be a side initiative in any of the organization. It should be a part of the performance matrix. If leaders are not developing and retaining diverse talent, then definitely it must be a leadership gap somewhere in the organization itself. Build cultures where anyone can speak in any forum. If they are feeling they have a right to speak, they have to communicate, they will not shy, they will not feel insecure. That kind of environment we need to provide, either is a male or the female. But definitely, what I want to say, the technical ones can be intense during the harsh discussion as well. Women stay where they feel heard, respected, and safe to challenge these ideas. This is my perspective. And I'm happy to proud that this is happening at CtrlS, just not a junior or mid level. I'm seeing as a top leadership level as well. Women are heading departments, driving strategies, and leading all the mission critical infrastructure projects as well. In the end, I want to say that leadership has no gender gap. It's again about capability, accountability, and the courage to lead. It's not related to any, it's a women or it may be anyone.
That's fantastic that we're seeing that already being implemented within organizations across the
Yes.
industry. I love how you say it's not about gender, it's about how well you can do the job. And clearly, that is something that does not have a gender attached to it. And I know we've only got a few minutes left before people get annoyed at me because I go on for too long, but we have around 4 minutes left. I'm going to do an ever so quick speed round. Lalitha, I'm going to start with you for this one. Can you give us one leadership behavior you believe women should lean into more confidently?
To be prepared and to skill up.
To be prepared, to skill up. Fantastic. Priyanka, one barrier you want to see disappear in the next 5 years?
I think the main barrier that I want to see to disappear is assumption that women need to choose between technical credibility and interpersonal effectiveness. I think building both of these are equally important. So I think this is one most critical barrier that I want to see disappear.
Thank you. Can fully agree there. And Daciani, one practical action every organization could implement tomorrow to improve diversity in digital infrastructure.
Yeah, yeah. So I would take your question in this manner, like attract women workforce in the data center industry, right? So we need to make the data center work more visible for them, because what I see is most of them don't have any idea about what working inside a data center means. So we have to showcase women workforce who is already working here, share their stories in LinkedIn, right? So this will actually help them. Not only this, they can create awareness in the campuses. They can do internship, and there are a lot many things which an organization can actually do just to bring awareness about women's role in a data center and how attractive of a job role is working in a data center.
Yeah, so fully awareness there, actually showcasing women in roles and the opportunities available. Finally, Ruchika, I'm going to pass to you to send us off on this episode and give us some final thoughts. If a young woman is watching us now and considering joining the digital infrastructure space, why should she be choosing this industry and what opportunities are available?
Sure. My first recommendation, why they choose, shape the future, because you are going to build the backbone of the Indian digital economy from the data centers. We have endless opportunities are there. This sector is evolving rapidly, offering roles in technology, strategies, operations, sustainability, innovations. There is a lot of opportunities are there in this market. Make an impact. Gen Zs have a new ideas. Contribution can directly influence how digital infrastructure is designed, powered, and scaled. The last would be the diverse perspective always value fresh ideas, innovation thinking are highly appreciated in this industry. So my final word will be stay curious, ask questions, and claim your space. This industry rewards those who are bold, innovative, and willing to take a lead.
Lovely, lovely closing words there. Thank you so much, Ruchika. And thank you so much to the panel. Really appreciate your insights. It's clear that there's a wealth of experience in leadership for data centers. We've had some incredible practical insights that I think organizations can take away from this conversation. And again, thank you to CtrlS, without whose support we would not be able to run this episode. So thank you very much for supporting us in this. And to the audience watching, if you do have any other questions, comments, I encourage you, reach out to our panelists, find out more, and please start those conversations going across organizations. If you would like to read more on this subject, I have attached some resources to the bottom of the page where you can find out more. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again on the next episode on this channel.